Tectine Software has created and developed a master batch record software for drug and nutritional manufacturing. We've added a seed to sale component. So don't freak out now. We have a deal with Index. We've been talking to Todd, and we're still very good friends, and we're still going to test and utilize this software. We have two sites, Site 1 and Site 2, and we're working with Todd to make sure that every concern we have will be addressed, implemented, and we will launch this software in one of our facilities. Okay? So a lot of questions about Index. We have pre-access branding. Pre-access branding basically goes out and builds a brand for the physicians. Let's say they want to have their own contract manufactured brand of a drug, or a cream, or a dietary supplement. We have in-house IT, label design, marketing, SEO, you name it, one-stop shop. We have Xena Diagnostics, which we make and sell diagnostic test kits for testosterone, which will be launched. You'll be able to buy a kit in your gym or your drugstore and check your testosterone levels. We're going to do the same for marijuana. Okay? We have Our Extra Wellness, which is our manufacturing of dietary supplements. My company used to be called Supplement Group, but is now Our Extra Wellness. We're dietary supplement manufacturing, 50,000 square feet. We have Brooklyn Pharma, which is our distribution arm, which has distribution all over Canada and the United States for drug and dietary supplements. That's what I've been doing. On the nutrition side, I've been supplying every major nutrition store in Canada. We have Brooklyn Pharma. Sorry, it's Brooklyn Pharma. We have Jade Pharmaceuticals, which is the manufacturer of pharmaceutical drugs. Okay? And lo and behold, the last one, Minerva Foundations, which is our intellectual property arm, where all the patents pending and the patents filed, trademark, copyright, are all under one house, one roof, Minerva Foundations. Okay. So that's our XNB. And like I said, we're looking at the M&A with creative. It's getting to a point now where it makes sense. Okay? So we had some questions from shareholders regarding shares that are becoming unrestricted in the next 3 months. So there's outlandish numbers out there about the shares that are coming unrestricted. So I had my people pull some numbers today. In July, August, and September of 2013, 1,185,303,532 shares became unrestricted and into the market, and they were absorbed by shareholders. In July, August, and September of this year, 360 million shares will become unrestricted, not 1.5 billion or 800 million or whatever's out there. But now let me tell you about the trades and volume of our stock. From January 1st to December 31st, 2013, there was 20,968 trades. The volume was 5,442,228,610 shares. Okay? The dollar value was $22,238,113. So now, keep that dollar volume in mind. That's 2013, the whole year, $22 million, okay? From January 1st, when we announced our MMPR, when it got leaked basically by Lakeshore, we had to come out and admit it, to present, to today, we have 241,962 trades, almost 10 times what they were last year from year to date right now. Our volume is 9,107,859,812 shares. Okay? That's year to date, this year. So people are concerned about 360 million shares hitting the market. We're not concerned about it affecting share price at all. Okay? The dollar volume of the trades of our stock this year traded is $543,079,802. Now, if this isn't a liquid stock, I don't know what is. Okay? So that's addressing that issue. The next thing I wanted to address was what Health Canada is really looking for. Okay? And I've had discussions with the market development team at Health Canada who are building the MMPR in the industry in Canada. Numerous discussions with them. One as recent as a few weeks ago, talking about what our plans are, what we're doing, what we anticipate once we become licensed. So their goal was to develop and establish a stable supply base for medical marijuana. That's the first and foremost. You have to supply the domestic market first before you can export. I've said that numerous times. Their big thing is research, education, and industry building. We've committed to Health Canada as early as 6 months ago in our first discussions, if not longer, and as recent as 2 weeks ago, that we are going to partner with them to build the industry, domestic and foreign, to make Canada a leader in the supply, sale, and education of medical marijuana. We're going to create an education program in Canada for physicians to reduce the dependency on OxyContin and Percocet and get people on medical marijuana. And we've committed to do research for disease states, different strain specifics research. Now in Canada right now, it's only dry marijuana. That's all that can be sold. And we'd like to band together with other LPs, future LPs, to lobby the government to have different delivery mechanisms. It's very important for the patients to have access to different delivery methods. The big thing about Health Canada, they're concerned about access to medicine for the patients, security and safety. Now, I probably said 8 months ago that I see the market being 500,000 patients in 2 years and being billions of dollars. And it's on path for that because effectively it's de facto legalization. All you need is a script from a doctor. You don't have to prove why you need it, you just need a prescription to get it. So, very important that you have to have good production practices, basically GMP. The government's instituted GMP, which you see in pharmaceutical and manufacturing facilities. I've been manufacturing dietary supplements under GMP since 2007. There's more to GMP than seed-to-sale software. Standard operating procedures and implementation of the procedures. When FDA comes in or Health Canada comes in, they grab your SOPs, is what they call them, and they ensure that you're following to every letter. And if you deviate, you're written up. It's not easy to follow. So if you came in, and we know from the dietary supplement industry when they introduced the dietary GMP, people who have been manufacturing under the old regime had an incredibly difficult time to implement GMP and the record keeping and SOPs requirements. Most of them have been shut down today. So that being said, you have people that are under the MMAR who have to reapply under the MMPR and want to continue to grow. Well, I can assure you 90 to 95% will bring their bad practices from the MMAR regime. Most will not survive if they even get licensed. So I want to read something to you which I think is very, very important for people to understand this process. And this came out of the Allard, Beamish, Herbert, Davey versus Her Majesty the Queen in the Right of Canada case, the temporary injunction that we know. It's in federal court right now. Patients under MMAR file an injunction. They want to continue to be able to grow their medicine in their homes rather than buy it from commercial LPs. The likelihood of them succeeding, I believe, is very slim because of the concerns that are out there by police, fire, municipalities, and Health Canada. There's large diversion happening. So this is out of the affidavit written by Todd Kane, who's the head of market development. He's the guy who is building marijuana in Canada. And these are his words about providing applicants with ready-to-build letters upon the completion of the paper review process upon request. These letters advise applicants that if they complete their site build as described in their application, if the site is verified by a pre-license inspection, and if security clearances are granted, the applicant's license can be issued. This letter is intended to provide applicants with documentation they may use to make necessary financial and other business-related arrangements. So essentially, you're approved, subject to security, which we've passed. We're waiting on inspection, and then the license. So people say they may not get a license. Not when you spend $20 million, you're getting a license. Okay? We wouldn't build it if we didn't think we'd get a license. Okay. to take the second one off my phone because I didn't have access to a printer and I had to pull the court documents. This is the second part of his affidavit. And it's important that you all know this. Because the people who claim to be in marijuana business in Canada claim to be at the pre-build stage. There's no such thing as a pre-build stage. You either have a ready-build letter or you don't. Okay? Otherwise, you're applied. That's it. And there's no guarantee. Part B of his affidavit. Providing a phased licensing process. So, you have an option to get a phased licensing process before a license. If an applicant has completed the paper review and met the regulatory standards for cultivation of dried marijuana, Health Canada will inspect and license that applicant for the cultivation activity only in order to accelerate production capacity. The applicant could subsequently obtain full licensing upon meeting the further requirements of the MMPR. This means, for example, the applicants who are ready to begin cultivation but who are not yet set up to meet the storage security requirements under the regulations could begin to grow marijuana while continuing to complete the requirements of physical storage of dried marijuana. So you probably ask yourself, well, this guy's growing, but they don't have a vault, they don't have a fence. Well, that's how they were able to. They have a ready-to-build letter, and they've asked to be able to cultivate. We had everything done. We have a 4,000 square foot vault. It would take 10 hours to penetrate if you could make it through our outer and inner security. It's not going to happen. Okay? We know we can store hundreds of millions of dollars in marijuana in that vault. So, once pre-license inspection comes, we can start growing, and we're ready to grow, I can assure you. So I thought it was very important that you all knew that, and it was clarified. Let me see if there are questions here. And I wish you were all eating right now. You're probably starving, waiting for me. Zoning, okay. So let me tell you about zoning. There's people out there saying they don't have zoning, blah, 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 blah. Zoning's never been an issue. Our site, both sites, Site 1 and Site 2, are zoned agricultural. This is an agricultural product. There's no processing allowed in Canada. It's dry product. So this is just another crop for a farmer. That being said, we never had zoning issues. There's no employee. You cannot say, Todd, you have a 1,000-acre farm, you only have 5 employees picking. There's no limit on the number of employees that can work on a farm. Okay, so let's get that understood. First thing. Okay. Second thing is we built 53,000 square foot building. We have the permit for that. Our application with the city, which costs almost $9,000 to send it in for zoning change, is for building 3, 4, 5, 6, and for future potential processing. Not for growing, for processing. So if we lobby the government and say we want to make CBD oil, we can't do that on the land right now. That's value added. That's why we're being proactive and applying for zoning change now. It doesn't limit us and doesn't stop us from getting a license. Okay? And another thing that I think you should all know, the minute a company gets licensed federally, cities lose jurisdiction. Lakeshore doesn't have right to have access to the property. We've become a federally licensed and inspected facility. Lakeshore is a non-issue, plain and simple. But you're operating in the city, and you want to be a good neighbor, a good corporate citizen, you still have their inspectors come in and make sure that everything is done and approved by them. But it's not necessary. Okay? Next issue, audit. We've retained Deloitte, and I'll tell you, it's very difficult to get a large accounting firm to audit because of marijuana. We're refused by 2 of the big firms in the US because they don't want to touch it federally. It's still federally illegal in the US. And even though we're in Canada, they don't touch it. So what do? We went to Deloitte. Deloitte does the audit, third-party audit for Tweed and for GW Pharma. Okay, that's where we're at there. Now, Deloitte is undertaking the audit of our Cen and Creative. Just so you know. So let's talk a little about the Canadian market. We actually discussed Canadian market. Let's talk about US market. So I had the pleasure of meeting someone high up in the narcotics department for Colorado, for Denver PD. And we had lunch. And we found out all the problems we have in Colorado that you don't hear about. One of which is testing. There's no lab testing going on. So people are getting unstandardized products, edibles, which is horrendous. Does not comply with food safety, someone could possibly get salmonella, E. coli, and die. There's nobody inspecting, and there's nobody testing. No lab will test it because it violates CFR 211, U.S. federal law. No labs can operate and test marijuana right now. Huge problem. Second thing is, they have stealing cash. Banks aren't touching it. So people are going in and they have huge amounts of money that they're burying in fields, that they're hiding in their home, that they're hiding in their grow-ops. And we're told there's booster crews, there's organized crime ripping these people off, and they don't report. Most of it is not reported because they're not declaring their real income. Because it's 37% tax, so they're hiding a lot of their money. Okay, so there's huge issues. In Colorado, which is supposed to be a progressive market, it's got a long way to come. I will say that I've been to Las Vegas. I'm going tomorrow. We're eyeing Las Vegas for future. Las Vegas is probably the only market that we'd want to enter for one reason. The population of the Las Vegas Strip, we were told, turns 80% every 3 days. Nevada is going to give reciprocity to medical marijuana card holders. Okay? So that means you have a Colorado card, you go to Vegas, you can buy. California, you can buy. Okay? So that's why we want in Vegas and Nevada. And it's not an easy process. You have to pass background checks. So just because you get approved at the county level, and you may go up to the state and get approved at the state level and get a certificate of authority, it comes back to county. Now what Nevada has done, they've replicated their gaming commission for marijuana. So they go back to everything you've done since you're 18 years of age. Every dollar you've made, everything. Have you filed bankruptcy? How many times have you been sued? For what? Do you have a felony? Do you have a DUI? If you have a DUI, you're not getting a license. Anything. Any blemish. Because they're afraid, as they were afraid in gaming, organized crime infiltrating. They'll be very, very selective. So just because Clark County sends up 18, there may be 18 refusals when it comes back down once they go through the process. Okay? It's very important to know. There's no assurances there. Now another thing, let's talk about FINRA. I said in my 420 speech in New York, FINRA's calling. And FINRA has been calling. We're fine, we've been given everything they've needed. We're legitimate, we've substantiated every press release we come out with. There's other companies that aren't. I gotta tell you, I've called a few. As CEO of Creative Edge, I think, you know, we can synergistically work together. Here's my cell number, please give me a call. We're talking weeks go by, no return call. Now, if it was even a legitimate company, you'd hope somebody would answer the phone. And if they don't answer the phone, you'd hope they would call you back within maybe 24 hours. Okay? So, as shareholders and investors, be wary of what you're putting your money in. Yeah, you're looking for big reward, but there's big risk. Big risk. So you gotta look at legitimate companies. You know, someone who has software, someone who has a dispensing machine. You know, not a Netflix box or, you know, or chocolate bar vending machine that they're saying can be used for marijuana, right? You got to look at the legitimacy of the people you're investing in. You know, people want to see fast return, unfortunately, because a lot of us are in the pinks, and you know, it's loose in the pinks, and that's why we want out. Let me talk a little bit about our board of directors, because a lot of people didn't know about John Germinario, who's here. John Germinario. John, can I stand up? John Germinario, career banker, private regulator for the IRS, the SEC, and the FBI, and IRS criminal investigations. He's the man who found that banks were ripping off the IRS and committing fraud on the American people to the tune of $3 billion. Okay? He has the ear of the SEC and FINRA, and the head of the SEC, Mary Jo White, and every investigator there. Okay? And his open letter, which I put out, that he wrote to FINRA and the SEC, was to tell them to stop attacking legitimate companies in the medical marijuana space. Okay? One mouth with thoughts, talk with thoughts. Leave the good ones alone. because there are good ones in the space. And I said one other thing, sorry, I've gone over, I think is important to hear. There will be more halts, and they're coming. John's been very diligent, and we've found and confirmed there's paid bashers on our stock, and we know who they are, and we know who's paying them, and we'll come after them. And we're gonna do it. And we'll let SEC and FINRA pay for it. Right? Not our shareholders. And one other thing, I just want to finish the board with 3 people. Mike Clark, okay? Mike Clark was Senior Executive VP, JP Morgan Chase, reported to Jamie Dimon. Second man in charge of JP Morgan Chase. He's on our board. He was the president of Fidelity Investments, okay? He's on our board. What's his specialty? He's done $5 billion capital raises, okay? We have Dr. Felden, who's an amazing man. He has 2 NIH, National Institute of Health 10-year Merit Awards, and a MacArthur Foundation Award. This man most likely will be up for the Nobel Prize, we're told. He's on our board for research. He ran Beaumont Hospital's clinical trial programs. The programs had a combined total of 250,000 patients. Okay? We're going for research. Sam said in his speech in Toronto. And the last person, Dr. O'Banion, another researcher, received, from what we were told, 8 out of 8 NIH grants for research, and owns part of the patent rights in Celebrex and Paxil. And those are the people on our board right now. So now you know basically what attracted these gentlemen to our company and to our board. We gave you the snapshot of our X&D. They've seen the facilities. They've seen our plans. They know our vision, what we're implementing. Oh, and one last thing, hemp. Everyone else know about hemp. We did the deal with hemp in New Zealand. He has licenses to buy seeds and grow hemp. Well, one thing I'll tell you as a lawyer, the description of the seeds on the paperwork for customs and the government of New Zealand says cannabis sativa. That's why we're in hemp. Okay? Give us the ability to source seeds, buy and sell worldwide. Okay? There's many more things to this picture I haven't told you. And stay tuned. We just started.